Hey, it's August 2nd, 2016. I just got done at the gym. I'm all sweaty. I think I burned about almost 500 calories in an hour. I'm trying to build up my endurance, so I'm going for the long haul instead of the short and fast route. Seems to be working for me so far, you know. So I spend about 30 minutes just whatever, jamming out. Sometimes I listen to some teachings or something for 30 minutes, and then the second 30 minutes I spend traveling, journeying to non-ordinary reality. So going within, going about, doing different things for other people, kind of visioning for myself. And gosh, a lot came through today. I had a CT scan yesterday, and it seems like my diverticulitis is not going away, so they want to prescribe another round of antibiotics. My husband did a little Reiki on me this morning, and I actually am feeling a little bit better. I'm going to go pick up the antibiotics, but what came through to me today is that if I'm not faithful with the little things, how am I going to be faithful with the big things? So I don't think I'm going to take it. I think I'm going to really just plug in and get to work, because I know I can beat this, and I don't need it. I've already had 14 days of antibiotics, and I don't really want any more. So it's not a life-threatening thing. It's something that I'll have the bottle of antibiotics, and if it doesn't work out, I can just start taking them again. No big deal. But in the meantime, I'm going to give myself the opportunity to do the work, and I'll let you guys know how that turns out. So I'm actually excited about the challenge, and I'm excited about the times we're living in, and just so much on my mind about that. And just wow, what an incredible time that we're living in. Just amazing, incredible time, and I'm so thankful. So love you guys, and thanks for watching.
Good morning, Amy here. I just woke up. I'm real tired. I haven't been sleeping so good. Not because I can't sleep. I've just been overwhelmed with creativity and things that are keeping me up way too late at night. I last made my video on August 1st, and today is August 6th, about 9 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to check in and talk about how I've been doing in healing my diverticulitis. So I haven't still taken antibiotics, so it's been about 7 days now since I've had my symptoms return. I went and had that CT scan, which confirmed my diverticulitis. I also went to the doctor this week, and the CT scan confirmed that I also have kidney stones. So yes, my body is a mess. So I'm just continuing on with the regimen that I've been doing. I'm drinking my pH water. I need to actually go get more because I'm almost out of that. Drinking that, and I've only missed 1 day at the gym this week because I had back-to-back appointments. Trying every day. I've been doing yogurt. Here's my breakfast. Which is some Activia, some blueberries, and some grapes, which actually the berries I probably shouldn't be doing because of the skins on them, but my body's telling me that I need the antioxidants right now, and blueberries are a great source. The grapes as well, so I'm just going to do that. Along with that, I'm taking probiotic I have here ready. I'm also still taking neem, which I don't take at the same time as the probiotic. That kind of seems maybe a little counterintuitive to me. So I try to take them at separate times during different meals. Normally I would take the neem. I have been taking it in the morning with my breakfast. But this morning I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I haven't been having yogurt for breakfast. I've been eating it later in the evening, and I really want to take my probiotic this morning with my yogurt. So I'm going to have the neem, I guess, later. As far as symptoms, okay, when I went to the doctor the other day to follow up on my kidney stone, my blood pressure was really high. It was like 139/103. It was in the morning, though. My appointment was at 8 a.m. and it was way across town. I had to leave the house at 7:30. So I had gotten up at 6:30 and I hadn't gone to bed that night before until like 1 o'clock in the morning. So not enough sleep. So it's not surprising that my blood pressure would be really high. But even still, I'm wondering if I need to re-add meditation to my daily self-care in addition to the working out at the gym and the journeying, because it's just too much going on at one time in my body to, well, I just feel overwhelmed trying to manage it all. But I just want to say so far so good. I haven't gotten back on the antibiotics. I started to feel a marked improvement, almost to the point, I would say today's Saturday, almost to the point Wednesday where it was completely gone and I had no symptoms, no pain. But the last 2 days I am starting to backslide a little bit and I'm starting to feel that sort of achiness, probably to the same level that it was like on Monday, Sunday and Monday of last week when I first made the video. So the other thing too is that Al was doing Reiki treatments for me a couple times a day. And because our schedules, we've kind of been like two ships passing here the last few days, he has not really been able to do that. And I haven't taken the time to do that for myself either because I've just been on the go, on the go, on the go. And so those are two more things I feel like I need to work on improving. Number one being my sleep, and number two being the Reiki, and also possibly daily meditation. But the good news is it's been almost a week and I'm still off the antibiotics, and I'm not feeling overwhelmed with symptoms or like I need to jump on antibiotics at this point. I'm just paying attention to my body, and like I said, maybe I'm backsliding a little bit, and I just need to focus more. It's just really, it's hard. This morning I was up really late again last night working on a different video that I'm uploading to YouTube. So this morning, as I get my breakfast down, I'm going to finish that and converting it over to the appropriate file format for upload. So yeah, I'll check back in and let you know, I guess, my progress on how all of that's going. Let's see, behind me, I'll just show you real quick since that looks funky. On my wall, that's what I got going on, that little organic thing underneath my painting. So there it is. Good morning, and I love you guys. I appreciate all your positive intentions of healing for me, and I'll probably check in maybe like in another week and let you know how it's going. All right, bye.
Good morning, Amy here. It is the 17th of August, 2016. In the morning, I'm in my pajamas. I just woke up not too long ago. I got about 15 minutes, and then I'm heading off to a Skype session, so haven't had time to really put myself together. I don't think I look entirely that different than how I usually look, just maybe a little bit washed out. One of the things about living in Texas is that my husband and I both, when we wake up in the morning, we're just caked with like congestion and goop, and oh man, the allergens here are horrible. At least for us, because we're not really native Texans. I was born and raised in California, 40 years of my life there, and I'm a third generation. My grandfather was born there as well, so our DNA is pretty much acclimated for California, not Texas. So we've been here 3 years now, and it's been pretty rough, but we're slowly adjusting and assimilating on every level. But I just wanted to check in this morning and talk about my healing and how that's going. I still have my prescription bottle here of the antibiotics. This is full. I haven't taken any of them. This was prescribed to me on the 2nd of August. So, and it took me a couple days to pick it up. So really right around the beginning of August. Now it's the 17th. And let's see, I had my CT scan the day before that, or maybe 2 days before that, and that confirmed that I still had the diverticulitis after the 14 days of antibiotics. And I chose not to continue with antibiotics. So here we are, 17 days or more. I'm still doing yogurt in the morning with some fresh blueberries and some black grapes and a probiotic. And I'm also still taking neem twice a day, which actually is quite remarkable because usually my body can't tolerate neem for more than 2 or 3 days at the most. But I have been continuing to drink as much water as I can. I'm drinking still the pH, the alkaline water. And here I am. I'd say I am somewhat teetering, much less. I would say it's 85% gone. So I'm definitely making progress. It's slower than I'd like, but I'm definitely making progress. My husband is kind of intermittent with doing Reiki on me. I've been doing it a lot myself and also some shamanic work on myself. But I have to tell you, when he does the Reiki on me, it is like a huge noticeable, like it takes me from that 85% to 100%. And there's reasons for that I'll save that for another video. But I'm really thankful when he takes the few moments to do that for me because I definitely do notice a difference. The reason that I decided to share this testimony so publicly is because we live in these interesting times, where the medical profession, our bodies are actually like evolving and becoming much more susceptible to disease and disorder than we ever were. There's a lot of reasons for that, but because our bodies are going through this rapid sort of adjustment to our environment, doctors they aren't really catching up. I mean, the medical profession itself is very cumbersome. It's very slow and it drags its feet and it takes way longer than it should for a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's 20 different videos I could do just about what I'm saying right now, but short and simple. When I first went, the reason I first started having to have colonoscopies is because my brother, when he was 27, we shared DNA from a mutual father. And so we do not have the same mother, but when he was 27, he developed colon cancer. And that's pretty significant, and it's not normal for a 27-year-old to get colon cancer. So, he called and said, hey, this is what's going on. My GE says everybody in the family should go have a colonoscopy. So I'm like, oh shit, here I go, literally, right? Like, I haven't been through enough already with all this cancer crap. Okay, now I got to add colonoscopies. And I was, 35 at the time? So that's when I had my first colonoscopy, and now I have to do it every 3 years. Well, anyway, at some point, my second or third colonoscopy it first started out being every year. See, if they find something, a polyp or something, then you have to come back in a year. If they don't find anything, then it's 3 years. So that's kind of how that schedule goes. So about 3 colonoscopies in, so that wouldn't have been like 9 years because those weren't 3 years apart, but about 3 tests in, they said, oh, you have diverticuli, which, is a disorder in essence of the walls of the bowel. So I'm going to take a minute just to do a very brief little anatomy lesson because these are the bodies that we're in, so it's good to know. So I'm going to put up a picture, I think, as I just talk about it a little bit, just so you know. So you have the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and then the descending colon. As the waste material, what hasn't been absorbed by your body in your intestines, as it drops down into the colon, it's 100% in liquid form. And as it moves up and around and down through the colon, which is quite a journey. It takes several hours for that to happen. It becomes less and less liquid as the colon absorbs the water from the material. So obviously, by the time it gets to the end, you have a solid waste material. Most of the time you should have anyway. So yes, lovely, but that's how it works, and we all do it. So yep, that's how it works. So when I first got the diverticuli, I asked, well, what causes this? And my gastroenterologist said constipation. I guess that's their theory. Okay, that's strange, because I don't really suffer from constipation, not chronically. So, okay, we moved to Texas, and, I had to find a new gastroenterologist. Again, I asked him the same question, what causes this? Again, I got the same answer, constipation. Well, curiously, the next colonoscopy that I had, there was no evidence of diverticuli at all, like it had completely gone. And that doctor told me basically that that's not even possible, but like basically there's the proof of it right there in the pictures. They take pictures when they do colonoscopies, they take pictures of the inside. So there's the proof. I have the proof. There it was. Now it's gone. Okay. But yet he says it can't be healed. So we had this conversation. What causes it? Again, he told me constipation. I said, well, is it possible that maybe my chemotherapy, I've had at this point 10 years of chemotherapy nonstop. Is it possible that may have caused this? Oh, no. Well, how do you know? Well, the research just isn't stating that. Okay, well, I'm not dumb. There's no research. They're not doing research on stage 4 cancer patients that are 10 and 15 years out because there's so few of us in the world. There's too few of us to even do the research. So in all honesty, they do not know the long-term consequence of these medications, these chemotherapies. They have no idea. But see, because there is no research, rather than saying to me the truth, which is there is no research and we don't know, he says, oh, no, the research doesn't show that, and sends me off on my way. Well, that's sort of how doctors can be. They don't really care. Whatever. So I found a new gastroenterologist because I wasn't very happy with that. And he has a PA or nurse practitioner or whatever she is. And I love her. They're always awesome, right? They're just different people. So I had a conversation with her about this. And she tells me that... And I asked her, could this be hereditary? Because I know that my grandfather, the one from California, also at some point suffered from this very severely and had to go through this real horrible medical intervention. And she says, well, no, we don't really believe it's hereditary. And I said, well, why is that? Well, because 50% of the population or more has diverticuli, so it's very common. It's just a common human condition. Okay, well, that's fine. I guess that's reasonable, except for the fact that I'm only 43 years old, and I actually, at the time when I first developed this, I was in my mid-30s, so that doesn't seem completely normal to me. Anyway, I did a little research and started investigating, and what I realized, my diverticuli came back, and what I realized is that the location that it's actually in my colon is not even a location where the waste material has even hardened yet. Like as you go down the descending colon, if you had the majority of your diverticuli in that location, then it would make sense because there's where the constipation problem is, right? I don't need to go into graphic detail, but that would make logical sense. But when you have it way up, even in like the transverse sections of the colon or the ascending sections of the colon, there's no way that constipation is causing that. It just doesn't even make logical sense. So the truth of it is doctors don't know, and they routinely lie about it, or they just parrot information that they've been told without even using their own common sense or brain to figure it out. So when you're dealing with that kind of stuff makes you skeptical to go to the doctor and to trust their medications. And I'm not, please don't get me wrong, I'm not telling anybody don't go to the doctor, and I'm not telling anybody don't take your medications. I'm saying for me and my journey of seeing every kind of specialist imaginable, having countless tests and being on so many different things, this is my understanding and why I have chosen this time around to address this diverticulitis, which I didn't have until like last year. I've had diverticuli for quite a few years, and then, well, I had it and then it went away, and then I have it again. And then I developed diverticulitis, which is the full-blown infection. And I've had that twice now in a year. So I've decided to address this in a more holistic and metaphysical way. And that's why I'm sharing with you, because I believe we do have the ability to know our bodies. Our bodies tell us. I have to go to my appointment, but I'm going to come back and talk a little bit about what I woke up this morning thinking about and how it relates to this. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Whew, that was a hour and 10-minute long amazing conversation with my spiritual mentor. Yeah, we covered a lot of really important things. I'm so grateful that she's in my life. But anyway, I wanted to get back and finish this up before I actually start my day this morning. And the thing I was saying, what was I saying? Yes, what I woke up this morning thinking about. Okay, so the other day someone posted a comment to me suggesting that DMT, which if you don't know what DMT is, I Google it. It's a neurochemical, and it's amazing. Rick Strassman has a book, DMT, the spirit molecule. You might want to check it out. Basically, he says that, well, not just him, the growing body of research, that DMT is endogenous, meaning it's innate within our body, and that it's actually it's responsible for spiritual experience, for near-death experience, anything that's on that fringe of what we would call spiritual experience. So that's why he calls it the spirit molecule. DMT. And so somebody left a comment on to me the other day and said something about how to create DMT, only 2 enzymes are needed. And he suggested that there's a virus that actually can produce these 2 enzymes. So in other words, a virus could be introduced into our body that could actually cause an increased production of DMT, which, what would that do to us? Well, it could potentially cause psychosis. So that was an interesting, there's a lot of different ways to talk about this. I'm very fascinated with the cultural aspect of this, but just in terms of the physiology itself, the suggestion of that was intriguing to me because, as most of you know, at 30 years old, I got inflammatory breast cancer, which is a very rare form of cancer, and it's a little bit different than, the classic ductal breast cancer. There was a study a while back by an epidemiologist who discovered that the rate of inflammatory breast cancer in Tunisia was phenomenally higher than anywhere else. In other words, something was happening there that was causing breast cancer to be inflammatory breast cancer at a much higher rate than ductal. So he dug a little bit further and also found there was a potential correlation between the inflammatory people who had inflammatory breast cancer in Tunisia and also testing positive for a virus that's carried by the mouse, so a mouse virus. So there was a lot of criticism about his research, as there always is criticism about every piece of research. That's kind of what the scientific community exists to do, is be critical. And so all of that aside, though, it's fascinating because we're learning more and more and more how much disease is caused by viral material. And we've done pretty good with discovering with antibiotics treatments to bacterial invaders, but not viral. So as more and more cancers and diseases are of viral origin, it really sort of makes you think, made me think, oh, this is what I woke up this morning. I was thinking about his comment, and I was thinking about my response to him, which in part I was responding in terms of oxytocin and our incredibly high cesarean section rate in the United States, higher than any other industrialized modern medical country. And yet they tell us that they keep doing C-sections because it's a life and death issue, that they're trying to increase the life outcome for mother and child. So when they push a woman to do C-section, it's always in that context of, if we don't do this, you could die or your baby could die. But the statistics actually are not bearing this out, because statistically we should see maternal and infant death significantly reduced as the C-section rate becomes higher and higher, but in fact the opposite is happening. The maternal death rate and infant death rate is actually increasing, and is also higher in our country than it is in other countries that have modern medical access. So two things don't add up, right? So my response to him about his suggestion about the DMT was also my suspicions with oxytocin. Another drug, I don't want to take a lot of time talking about oxytocin, what it is, what it does, and how important it is, but it is very important to the labor and birth process. And I suspect somehow that this is also being interrupted, potentially culturally through intentional targeting. That maybe sounds a little conspiratory, maybe it is, but also potentially through a viral exogenous, meaning not already within us, some sort of viral exposure that's actually suppressing oxytocin. It's an interesting thing to consider. So I woke up this morning thinking about his comment, my response about the oxytocin, and then all of a sudden I flashed to the movie The Happening again. Oh my God, you're going to get so sick of me talking about M. Night Shyamalan, but I can't tell you how often I think about his movies. So I flashed to the movie The Happening, and I was thinking about like how people are so conspiratory and they think the government's out to, intentionally like do this. And I don't know, maybe there's some truth to that. But I also wonder, like, as we have just trashed our planet and mistreated it, if these bacterials and mostly viruses haven't to some degree evolved. I mean, we are not independent creatures. We actually are truly one organism. And I know that's a hard concept to understand, but our skin is actually very permeable, and the air we breathe, what we put in our mouth, is all influenced by the environment. So, I was just thinking about that in terms of like nature and sort of the evolution and our place on the earth, and then it made me flash to the other M. Night Shyamalan movie, After Earth, where when their plane crashed on Earth, everything on Earth had evolved to a degree of being hostile to humans. Again, another really interesting concept, because is that actually happening to us in a long view of it? That these these viruses and microorganisms, are they evolving to a degree with intention to kill us? And are our bodies not evolving to a degree to withstand the onslaught. And so, yeah, these are just really interesting things to think about. And I just wanted to share what was on my mind as it relates to health and our place in Earth, on the planet, in these bodies that we're living in, how they work, and how we need to just really, really be aware of everything that we're putting into our body pharmaceutically and all that stuff. And learn also different ways of healing that might be better suited for this time we're living in than the current approach. And again, I'm not saying don't go to a doctor, don't take your medicine. I'm saying consider what other ways there might be to support and encourage healing in your physical body that don't involve the traditional approaches that you are maybe used to. It's interesting, I had chemotherapy on Friday, as you guys know, and I got my annual reclassed infusion on Friday as well, which always puts me in a lot of pain, a lot of bone pain, very significant bone pain, and I do not take opiates, and the non-steroid anti-inflammatories are definitely not something that I can readily take because of my diverticuli and my sensitivity in my digestive system. So I try to avoid those. So basically, I have to just white knuckle the pain. Today's Wednesday, so I had treatment Friday. I'm still having some residual pain. Yesterday I was able to go to the gym and put in my hour on the treadmill. It's the first time that I was able to go since my Friday treatment. And I'm going to try again today to go, although I am also feeling a stomach flu that's trying to manifest itself. So I'm just sharing this because I want to be very open and honest about my journey and where I'm at with my health and what I'm working on. But the other day, as I was complaining about the bone pain or something, I don't even know what I was talking about, my son said to me, well, why are you even still doing that chemo, Mom? And I was like, well, do you want me to stop? And he said, yes, you need to stop. So this is the son that we are working together, he and I, to heal his seizures. And he hasn't had a seizure since June 8th. So that's very, very significant. Very significant. We are in August, and July and August are always the hardest months with the most seizure activity. He's been in ICU twice, last August, and also the August before that with uncontrolled seizure. And so to be here August 17th at this point of not having had a seizure since June 8th is incredibly remarkable. And I'm so, so proud of him. And I'm excited that we get to take this journey of healing together. And, I keep telling him, a little bit longer, and he's, going to have to come out and share his testimony on this because it's pretty profound. So when he tells me, yes, he thinks I need to stop chemotherapy, I'm taking that seriously. I'm due for my annual CT and PET scan. And so I think I see the doctor in November. I'll probably keep doing treatment until November when I see the doctor. And then when he orders the scans, I'm going to go ahead and do those and kind of see what my status is at that point. And based on that, I think I'm going to have that conversation with him about stopping, which I've actually had that conversation with him before. I know where he stands on it. But I think I might more seriously actually discuss with him options on that, on stopping and what that would mean and the monitoring, that type of thing. If that could actually increase from not being once a year to more frequently, because the type of cancer I have is very, very aggressive. It grows super, super fast. I think the discussion I need to have with him is really about the increased monitoring, because I think if I'm going to actually stop chemotherapy, going a year in between scans is going to be too long. So we'll see what happens. But again, I just want to say real quick too, because one of the things that my son said to me when he said, yeah, just quit treatment. And I said, are you sure? And he said, well, yeah, there's always marijuana, Mom. Just, why don't you just take that? Well, I've known hundreds of cancer patients over the last 13 years. Been to MD Anderson, been to City of Hope. My home base, CBCC in California, here in Texas, Austin Cancer Center. So I've Arlington Cancer Center in Texas. I've been around. It's a lot of different cancer centers, and met a lot of people. And I have never yet, one time, met a single person who was cured of their cancer by marijuana alone. So when they tell you this, I'd be skeptical of it. And I've known many people who have and do use marijuana in their treatment approach. And even using that with the chemotherapies, they're not being cured of cancer. So that, and the fact that I am in Texas and it's not medically legal here, so that actually isn't really an option for me unless I go to great lengths to get it or trust a source on the street, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. So for me, marijuana is not exactly the primary approach that I would take, but I'm just sharing all this so that you guys know that healing is possible, and in some, that I'm on a healing journey and learned a lot about healing, have developed a lot of medical intuitiveness along this journey, and if you want to reach out to me, reach out. I'm here. All right, I love you guys. Have a great day.